Alright, sorry about that. I was just sitting here daydreaming about when this CD, Rainbow's first CD, came out, and what was it, 74, 75, whatever it was. This boat was a couple years old. Wild times, man. Just living in the 70s for a minute here. But now 2021 just came roaring right back, and look at me now. So here we are. It's a drier day today, apparently. It's still a lot of overcast, so sunlight is not our enemy today. We're gonna go ahead and wet sand the transom now that I actually have time and daylight. Like I said before, the majority of the whole top is under 320 grit right now, so we're happy where it's at. It should stay there until we're ready to paint. And I mean, like, we're gonna paint tomorrow or the next day. We're gonna go ahead and hit it with the 400 then. Until then, the birds are probably going to crap on it and everything else. I will be putting a cover back on it here eventually, but that comes with its own dangers. You know, things could get scratched and screwed up. So we're going to hold off on the 400 to the end. But why am I looking at this? This is like the last of the major projects. And as I said before, you can see it looks beautiful until you get up close. And we were discussing colors last night, me and Jack. And I'm a little nervous about the colors he's looking at, because they will show everything. You know, it's kind of like the opposite. If it ain't right, paint it white. Well, if it ain't right, you sure as hell don't paint it a dark color. So we're gonna have to figure out how to make it right one way or another, because I really don't want a wavy, ugly, pocked up mark boat coming out of my yard. Not like I'm a professional or anything, but I do have my pride. So that's our goal for the day. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna see if we can start working on some of this stuff. We really need to get some of these areas done. I mean, it's a process. We're probably gonna be working down when it comes to paint. You know, if we start at the top, then we'll work to the sides, and then we'll do the bottom. Boom, boom, boom. Especially if you're talking about a light color, which the top is gonna be white. That's no giveaway. I have to do that. Any other color would just look weird. That's why that red on the sides, it just always just like, wow. I mean, like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, what are they thinking? I mean, you're just trying to emphasize things more than they should be. I mean, these were built, those little combs there were built to try to keep people inside the boat and make them feel safer, like they were sitting in a car, not necessarily stand out like a sore thumb. So we will definitely be going with a very light, if not white, ultra white color on the top, in which case then the bottom will have to match. It's just questionable on what we're going to be doing for the sides. That's probably going to be a surprise when it shows up, even for me. So here we are on another day. We're going to go ahead and get started, and as I said, once we get that rolling, then we're going to have to go check all our holes for all the things that need to be installed. We got to make sure they fit. And of course we have this windshield over here, which I just bought a $200 piece of Lexan for. Yeah, that stuff has gone up quite considerably after the COVID thing. We've got a lot to do, a lot to do. It's just in 20 different directions, and I don't even know which way to go right now. I'm thinking just get out the rage and fill in some of these bad spots. Tired of people walking by going, oh, the sides are all good to go. You should be ready in like a week. Yeah, take a closer look. Take a closer look. All right, phase one is done. We finished our fiberglass filling, and yeah, hopefully that should be the last. I don't think there's any more holes. Fingers are crossed. Fingers are seriously crossed. Sadly, those holes are for the insignia, or the tag, which is that one. If anybody knows where they can find an Allmand tag, I'd be greatly appreciative. They're pretty much all the same too. I mean, this came off a 28-foot cabin cruiser, if I remember correctly. It was being junked in the eastern shore of Maryland. So yeah, they're all about the same, if anybody knows where to find one of those. But either way, it wasn't going to go back in the original screw holes, because actually there was a piece of metal in each one of them, which I assume was part of a screw somewhere. But they've been ground off and filled with, it looked like Bondo fiberglass putty, you know, the stuff that comes with little fibers in it. And yeah, they were deep down in there, and if I would went to use them again, it would have been an ugly, ugly, ugly day for me, because as you can see, These letters are not that big, and if you scoot off just even a millimeter one way or the other, you could easily be into a whole nother piece of glass that shows. So they're done, they're filled. I'm getting ready to fill them with some Rage now. I've just got done grinding them off, but as you can see, makes it a little easier with the Rage on it. Yeah, this goes on and on and on and on. I'm telling you, if it ain't right, paint it white. That's the theory. But this ain't gonna be white, so we have to fix it and make it right. What are you doing? Did I catch you doing something? He wasn't that scary? Is this what you want? Just grabbing up our 1,000,000 candle power light here. We got up to about 220 down the side, and starting to sprinkle. Looks like we may be doing some wet sanding later. But yeah, we got up to about 220 dry sanding, and there's a couple 7, 28, 35 spots that I went back over with this a tiny bit of Rage. The nice thing about that stuff is it actually works for pinholes and everything else. So I don't want to use any primer yet. I'm trying to hold off on that until I actually can wait it out. Oh no. I don't know. But yeah, up to 220 dry. We're getting ready to start wet sanding, but I don't know about that during a thunderstorm. And we sure as heck ain't using anything electrical out here, like this 1,000,000 candle power light bulb here, because it will explode and that will be ugly. On this side, we have it filled. We got our fiberglassing done, and we got a single coat of Rage on, but that's the original finish, whatever it happens to be. I think it's an Emron. And yeah, we need to hit that with some 80 grit sandpaper and get rid of it, or at least use it as a base coat. But we're not going to do that in the rain. Maybe I'll do the other side in 320 though in rain. We'll see. J.J. Abrams lens flare. Alright, here we are. It's about, I don't know, 8:15, 8:20. Again, gotta love these summer nights, boy, but they can exhaust you after a while. Gone ahead, we have the other side. It's up to 220 dry sanded. We have some spots to get to, but they'll get to later. Not a big deal. Little tiny things. On this side, we're up to 120 dry sand. We're just running out of time. We found all our spots using our 1,000,000 power candle light. Boy, it's about as strong as the sun when you're up close, and about as hot. But we went down the side here and found all of our little spots that we wanted to get to, and we're probably just going to leave that set up overnight. And tomorrow we will start sanding once again. One thing that is a little different than sanding is we have the windshield out. Gone ahead and made a couple repairs already. That whole side was kind of broken off. We got all that fixed back up, screwed back in the way it should be, through the channel and everything. It's all good to go. Tomorrow, need to figure out how I'm going to bolt this thing down, because the bolt holes have been kind of chewed out. So I'm coming up with a new plan. I've thought about this for a while. Yeah, it's a new plan, but we got to make sure it fits. And along with that, I have vents, a cleat, another vent, bilge pump vent for the gas tank, input, freshwater input. Yeah, this thing's gonna be fancy. On all my boats, I do this now. I have this little freshwater input. You just plug the hose into that, start your motor, flush it out, unplug your hose. It's a really nice feature. But that has to be fitted. I don't even have it yet. It hasn't shown up. But along with that, we also have the deck cleat, the parking light mount. It goes there, and the front bow light that has to go up there, and they all have to be drilled out and ready to go. And then we have to fit the windshield, because I do not want to be trying to fit the windshield while we have brand new paint up there. That would just be stupid. And we'll be cutting it up with Lexan. Ooh boy, that'd be fun. But yeah, there's a lot of things to do before we can paint, but there's still a lot of just boring ass sanding. We'll try to get some of these other things fit in between time. Sanding's coming to an end though, it really is. I mean, from up to 120, I mean, being up to anything over 60 is a plus, because that means you're actually finishing and not sculpting so much. Sculpting is over. See you tomorrow. Welcome to another day. A day we're not even sure where we want to start, but we're just going to push on through and go ahead anyway. We are looking at some buckets. Why? Well, this is my hopefully last US composite order for this boat, and it came in at 8:30 last night. I mean, that's a pretty late arrival for something like this. We got all our chop strand and other mat slash cloth that we need to build the motor box. Yeah, setting up for the future. I just didn't want to go to Home Depot and buy. I got a little tiny bit of resin left over in this can back here, but I thought if I need resin for anything, I am not going to Home Depot and buying another gallon when I know that I have to have at least 5 gallons to do the motor box cover. So I made the order. It was something, you know, we'll probably sit around, but you know, it'll work out in the long run. It just ain't working out right now, being in the way and costing a lot of money just to sit. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to attack some more sanding on our boat hull here. We have to do 220 dry on this side. We have to do our spots. We have 35,000 other little spots over there we have to do with 230 dry. And once I get to the 230, I will go ahead and I'm going to work on some 320 in wet. The transom, it's been a couple days now, so I mean, it should be fine dry sanding. I'm just not even going to bother, because if it rolls in one place and you're already having to fix something. And then if I can sneak in some time, I really want to do something with what bottom is just right here in front of me exposed. And I want to do that just to get caught up, because when we take it back off the trailer to paint the bottom, I really don't want to be working on things that I could have easily been doing while it was still sitting on the trailer. I mean, there's a lot of room under here. I ain't gonna get everything, but I mean, there's like a lot of spots. And I really don't have the lighting down here to actually show you, but at the moment. But I mean, honestly, I think if we go over this bottom and paint it, I was thinking about it last night, I bet you this boat will pick up 5 miles an hour, because all the pock marks and stuff that's in the bottom. And it's just tiny stuff too. It's the weirdest stuff. It's like, you know, I don't know, like if it was, the paint was put on semi-dry and it just kind of like, you know, clustered up like skip plaster or some kind of stuff. So long story short, it needs some love. I mean, it has a lot of these little tiny little things. You almost kind of expect that. But I mean, some of this stuff down there looks like it was sitting in salt water or something and got barnacles on it. That's one of the reasons why my boat has a black bottom, is because it sat in New York Sound for, I don't know, I think it was 10-12 years, and it actually sat at a dock. I couldn't imagine what this thing would have looked like after sitting in New York Sound for, you know, all those months during the summer. I mean, and the little ringlets from the barnacles and such were so bad that I've stripped this whole bottom. We got pictures all over the place of it. And I know it looks like bottom paint, but it's not. That's actually Rust-Oleum black, and the reason I use black is because of this. That's a strike from last fall. Yeah. And there's another one up there. And it happens so much to this boat. I don't know what the deal is, but it seems to suck up everything that's on the bay. So I can just whip out with a can of black Rust-Oleum spray paint, high gloss, and paint it. So it's a high gloss bottom, but it was never going to be perfect. I mean, I probably could have flipped the boat over and made it semi-perfect, but I'm not flipping this boat over. No, I've never even taken the top off, so trust me, we're not flipping this boat over. And even after looking at this one with the top off, I still wouldn't want to flip this over. Even though I have flipped over a Donzi right there. Yeah, but that was a 16 footer. That was a little smaller than these 19s with their 8-foot wide transoms. You know, Donzi 16 is only a 6'3" wide at the transom. Big difference. Big difference. But long story short, we got a lot to do today. Just ain't a lot of film worth even bothering with. So enough rambling. Updates will come in a second. See, I told you that'd only take a second. In reality, that was about 6.5 hours of steady sanding. And I finally finished off the night with a good washing, so we can start tomorrow off with a nice clean boat and see what it looks like. Transom, sides, all of it up to 400. The deck stayed at 320. Like I said, I'm not going to deal with that until I am ready to actually think about painting. Just want to make sure that it doesn't take any damage or anything. And I also have a full box of things that need to be fitted before we can say this is all done and we can go ahead and start painting. I've done also some of this down here. I'm going to actually, when I do the top up here, I'm going to probably paint that white real quick. Just the nose right here, just to get it out of the way. And that way the color, quote unquote, is only going to follow the normal line right here. Unlike my boat, which just follows the water line, this one's actually going to follow this line. We've come to this conclusion. So yeah, this is where we're at. 400 on the sides, basically ready for paint, except I will throw a caveat in there that, you know, tomorrow I want to look at it in the sunlight and probably under the light, make sure everything is 100%. There's always a chance, you know. There's probably more than a chance here, to be honest. I'd probably lay it on the side that there is probably going to be something to fix. And yeah, then we're going to progress. I really need to get started on that windshield, as I said. And with all the other pieces that we have, it all needs to be cut out. Vents and such and such and such and such. So that'll be tomorrow's fun. Today, like I said, overcast. Couldn't beat it for sanding. I mean, it was a nice overcast day, and it's only about 80, 82. That's a sanding day if I ever heard one. If I can get a day like that to do some painting, that would be so awesome. So, but for now, I'm going to go eat pizza. See ya. Welcome to another breezy day, I guess. It's pretty nice out, and it's only in the mid 80s, but it's got a bit of a wind kicking around. And today is a good day for us because I'm not sanding anything, at least not now. My goal is to get all these pieces that are on the back of my 19 in the same position on this 19. I have a big pile of stuff over here. All of it has to be drilled out, find new spaces, new homes for it, make sure it all fits. I mean, I'm not doing this after it's been painted. That's insanity. You want to make sure all your customizations are done long before you go bringing out a spray gun. So that's the objective today, is to drill a bunch of holes in the brand new holeless boat. Does seem a little counterproductive, but as I said, all this stuff has to go in. I mean, we've got gas fills. You got to be able to put gas in a boat. You got to have lights. You got to have everything else that's over here too. Vents, the whole 9 yards. So that's the objective today, to do that. And once that's done, I am going to concentrate all my effort on our little windshield here and see if I can get it fixed up the way it should be. And a way of attaching it to the boat itself. Like I said, it's got some issues down there with these giant holes that are not supposed to be there. Little JB Weld and those carriage bolts down there are probably going to fix it up. We'll see how that works out in the future here. But as I said, I got a lot to do, a lot of holes to drill, and a lot of places to find out where they go first. So, and then just maybe if the day finishes off, then we can go back to sanding. But until then, no dust masks, no sanding, no mess, just a drill, a pencil, and a tape measure is what I'm going to need right now. So here we are. We got lots of new holes. Vent, light, input for fresh water, bilge pump exit, vent, gas tank fill, another vent. Not really sure what I'm going to do about this guy yet. It seems a little small, but the hole is in the right place and it's the right size, so it's not a big deal. And just one thing here real quick. When I put my vents in, I drill them for these PVC, I guess they're drain covers for 3-inch PVC pipe. It's really nice to have them fit in. I'm not even going to tap that one in. It's a little tight, which is perfect. I seal them around the edges. You got this grill here. Doesn't allow a whole lot. I mean, bugs can still get in, but you know, critters can't. So just a thought in the future, if you want to do it yourself, they're like $2 at Home Depot. One thing I do actually like about cutting holes in a boat, you do get a good coring. Now, how often do you get to core your boat? That's a nice sandwich. It's brand new plywood. Look how thick that glass is. Even on the bottom side, it's nice thick glass. And it's almost a 1/4 inch thick on the bottom. So yeah, that was me. Of course, that's just straight fiberglass, which that's about how thick the minimum size is on this hull. Probably about 3/8 of an inch. That's a solid boat for a 19-footer. Most of these guys you can poke through the side with with your finger. Deck once again, this is the vent cut out. Really nice sandwich. No voids, no missing anything. And we got another one over here. Same thing. No voids. Good contact. Yeah, looks like the rear deck was a good job. Pat myself on the back undeservedly once again. But we'll hold on to those. We always do. Never know when we want to put one back. So there it is. I doubt that we'll be putting any of these back because they do need vents at some point. And unlike my boat, they're not actually in the bow where they don't belong. Yeah, I had 3 vents in the bow of my boat when I bought it. And there was 2 more on the back. So we had 5 vents. I don't know what they were venting. Actually, I do know what they were venting. These boats don't have any flotation in them. And one of the ways that they work this way is they close in an area, one side or the other. Like the whole bow up here is all closed in. That's why I don't even want to put a drain in these boxes, because it will allow air to escape from them. And the way they're designed is the sink ass end first. You know, the motor and everything's back here first. And then they just bob in the water like a cork. Now, does anybody really design a boat to do that? Not necessarily, but that's what happens with these boats, because all that air stays trapped up underneath the bow. And as long as you don't have it perforated with 1,000 different holes like we've fixed on this one, that's your flotation. And my 19's case, because it has the center cutout, because it's got the center console interliner, these boxes are actually sealed all the way back to this point right here. There is a drain in the back of them if was ever anything to get in them, but this whole box is separate. That whole stringer all the way up to the bow is all separate and all enclosed, and including there's a spot in the bow that's probably, I don't know, a couple inner tubes worth of air that is also enclosed, and there's no access to these, and they're meant to be flotation. Okay, back to drilling. Well, as you can see, we did some work to the windshield to get it ready for an install test. We got our studs. We actually JB welded those up into a cavity. We can actually look at this one here. And went ahead and pinned them from inside the track here with a screw, so they are not going to turn or go out ever without tearing the whole bottom of the thing off. Also went over here, and something I wouldn't have bought for this windshield, but since they were in stock, I went ahead and grabbed a couple time certs and drilled these holes out and put new time certs in their holes. So the aluminum is now, doesn't have to hold the bolt. There's actually some real metal to hold it. We went ahead and fitted up the windshield as good as it really needs to be, which is not that bad actually. And I did a little Dremel in underneath. I allow it to come down at this angle, the bolts themselves, and They are a little bit out right there, but of course, you know, this is just an aluminum pole basically bent in an arc. So you just grab a hold of it when it's down. I want to make sure those get down, and then I'll be able to bolt that right in and lean it back a little bit as it goes in. As I said, with the time certs in those, it'll be easy to do, and I won't worry about them pulling out. Also, the channel that we have going around here at the bottom of the windshield will fit underneath it here and actually cover up this little notch that's been cut in here by the prior owner on a project that he was conceiving of actually lifting the whole windshield. But that's a little too much for us. We're just going to go ahead and leave it like it is and bolt it down. If it stays bolted down, I'm happy about that alone. I don't need it to actually pivot or anything. We went ahead and cut every other hole that we needed to cut, so we have everything that needs to be holed or cut out before paint. I mean, it's just the areas that will not be covered by anything except for the paint that's underneath of it that I had to get done. Of course, now that I did it this way, every hole came out perfect. I mean, there was no oversized, there was no the wrong place, there was nothing. It was, every hole just fell right in place. I mean, I guess I've done this a few times, so it makes it a little easier, but again, another past 8 o'clock evening, but it's all done, which, you know, sometimes, you know, you just can't go gung-ho and constantly, you know, I'm going to get painted. I'm going to get Jack out here to pull this windshield back off because, yeah, it doesn't need to be in the way, and call it a night. See ya. Welcome to another day, or at least what's left of one. And a late start here today. We had other obligations. You know, the whole world don't revolve around a Nova 19, that's for sure. Well, maybe it does. Okay, we are returning to our old tactics, and today I'm going to do a good sweep out, vacuum out, and then I'm going to wet sand the 400 on the deck and get it ready for paint. From there, it needs a good bath, and it will need to be covered up, and so it's ready to go on the chance that we actually get to do some painting. So we'll see how that works out, but right now it's kind of the same old boring stuff, so we'll have to give you an update as it happens. It's hot as hot can be. We went ahead and got our brackets put in for our seats tonight, right over there. As you can see, just barely see one over here. I guess it's right there on the camera. Just aluminum L brackets, lag bolt to the floor, and through bolted through the front. As I said, the trim will actually cover that whole front area, so you won't even see that. And we went ahead and did 400 on the deck. It just needs a bath and a coat of paint. Not promising that the first coat of paint or the first couple coats of paint are going to be the final coats of paint, because I don't know. There's a lot, as I said before in another video, there's a lot of optical illusions on this boat. I mean, when you look at a piece of clear glass under like this, I mean, that looks like a void, and you go and you touch it and you touch it and you touch it and you touch it, and it doesn't feel like anything. So again, I just need to get a solid color on here and then take a look at what it looks like. Fingers are crossed that, you know, the first couple times will be the final times, but I'm not going to bet the farm on it. Till then. And like I said last night, or like I said in the last, I guess it's the last episode. How about we just do this? We'll have to cut that out. Like I said before, I should say, seems so close. Alright, wait a second. We are going to tackle. Yeah, we're going to tackle. Maybe that's a new word. A tackle. Not a tackle, a tackle. 3, 2, 1. Stop. Why not? And maybe be able to breathe through my nose. Holy cow. Okay, we'll just cut this in someplace. Yeah, it's going to bang right into that song. Start auto tracking.